With a new week, we do a new division, and of course, if you look at the title, it's going to be the NFC South, and we're going to start with the fourth place Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Yeah. All right. I actually want to know in the comments below how many people thought the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were going to win the division last season. I mean, in the 2017 season. How many people had the Bucs overcoming everything, being the division winners, and getting into the playoffs for the first time since 2007? How many people actually thought that? Yeah, well, in Buccaneer fashion, they just got in their own way, and it resulted in being the Buccaneers, and they end up the fourth place team. Now, some people might say, well, because of the hurricane that hit Florida, it really affected them, having to have their bye week early in week one. Okay, there are some things that, you could excuse them for some of that, having to bye all the way in week one instead of where they originally had, I think it was week 13 maybe. That does have some issues with that, but I do find that with this team primarily I do find it that it's pretty weird, but I'll talk about that later. Right now, let's get to the roster. And of course, the quarterback, Jameis Winston, he's an all right quarterback. I mean, he's good. I just find him to be a little more turnover prone than how he was in college. I mean, in college, if you're turnover prone in college, you're going to be a pretty bad quarterback in the pros. But from 2015 to 2016, his interceptions went up, and I think his interceptions would have went up again in 2017 had he not gotten hurt. I think that was definitely one problem for this team. And now he's going to be out for the first 3 games. Don't forget, he got suspended, and that's going to be a major problem because now it's either going to be the Ryan Fitzpatrick or Ryan Griffin running the first 3 games. But I think it's probably going to be the Mr. Harvard himself, Fitzpatrick, starting for the team. But yeah, his interception totals, quote unquote, will go down unless he has a Bortles type season where he's just tossing them like they're chocolates. But it's going to be an interesting first 3 games, especially if they want to try and rebound and get back to the playoffs. Being without Jameis Winston could definitely affect them. And our running back, they got rid of Doug Martin and now have USC product Ronald Jones being the main guy. I believe they drafted him in they drafted him in the second round. I thought it was a first round pick, but no, he's a second round pick. And they're probably going to have a few guys probably split carries with him. One of them is probably going to be Charles Sims, but I honestly don't see that happening. I think he's too injury prone to really do anything, and I think he could be on his way out. Maybe Peyton Barber, maybe Jacquizz Rodgers. They just want someone who can be healthy and effective to split reps with Ronald Jones, because I don't think he's going to be the main back. I think if that happens, he could be easily washed up. He can wash up probably by year 4, similar to how the Redskins did it with Alfred Morris. And that's something they don't want to do. They're hoping Ronald Jones has a better, consistent year. Not like how Doug Martin did when he had his good rookie year, 2015, and that was it. And then looking at the wide receivers, you still have the ever-talented Mike Evans dominating this wide receiver, being, the main guy. And the number 2, right now it's Deshaun Jackson, but I think he's on his way out of the team. I think the Bucs might be leaning towards terminating his contract early. Why? Because they got Chris Godwin, who might be a better number 2, and of course they got Adam Humphries. I mean, it's always good when you have some young wide receivers that are not only talented but able to step up and play well. They want to get both Adam Humphries and Chris Godwin some love and have them play more. And since those guys are either 25 or younger, it gives them more leeway. It gives them more time with them, depending if contract extensions when it comes to expire. But that's a discussion for another time. So honestly, Deshaun Jackson could be on his way out unless something happens. But if they don't release him, then he'll just then steadily, step by step, week by week, he'll start losing snaps. Godwin might get more snaps. Humphreys might get more snaps, and eventually he'll just be an overpaid fourth wide receiver. And and even so, that's a more easily replaceable position. The number four guy. I mean, he doesn't need to be this all. He doesn't need to be a stud wide receiver. It just needs to be ready and available. And of course, looking at the tight end, they got the duo of Cameron Brate and OJ Howard. And I feel like it's not going the way they think it's going because Brate's a good third down converter in red zone, but OJ Howard's is more athletic and a better receiver. They just gave Brate an extension, and they want to try to make the two tight end system work, similar to how it worked with Patriots back when they had both Gronk and Hernandez, and it did work well for a while until Aaron Hernandez's pass caught up with him. But with Howard and Brate, this is going to be pretty tricky because I think Howard's more of a receiver than a blocker. I mean, he has blocking potential, but he's more used for a wide receiver, and they're hoping that he can take this big step up and becoming, that Jimmy Graham-esque tight end. And of course, they just extended Brate, and even if they're splitting snaps evenly, it's really going to affect both their max potentials. Because I think either one of them can be the main star tight end, the main lead tight end for either team. But these split snaps rolled, a lot of two tight ends. I mean, heck, I wouldn't be surprised if O.J. Howard just lines up as the fourth receiver for most of the time, and has Brate being, kind of the extra blocker. Honestly, if I'm the Bucs GM, I would keep an ear out for trade offers for either, mainly for Brate. If you're more sold on OJ Howard, I would just listen to trade. I would listen to trade offers. I would explore, but I would listen if it's something really good. Like say they want to give you a first rounders or something like really good to where you can continue building your team and not just now but also into the future. It would just be something to listen to. And of course, looking at the offensive line, this offensive line is pretty okay-ish. At left tackle is Donovan Smith, and he's the one guy that's holding this offensive line back. He's not a good left tackle. He's very problematic. He struggles in pass protection. And especially in the NFC South when you got some really good pass rushers like Vic Beasley, Cameron Jordan. They still have Julius Peppers. They also have Mario Addison. That's a big problem. They're hoping. I know a lot of Bucs fans, especially the Bucs base, are hoping he improves. But to me, it's either kick him in the interior or cut him, because he's not very good. He really isn't. They need a new left tackle. They didn't really improve their offensive line that much, outside of maybe a couple picks here or there. But there's really nothing that says this line will take care of him. Because I think one main problem with the run game, it wasn't just poor performances. It was also bad protection, bad blocking. And I mean, the rushing offensive line is fine. I mean, Ali Marpet, DeMar Dotson, Evan Diedrich Smith, those are fine players. It's just that just some really poor performances. I mean, from a guy like Donovan Smith, he's expected to block your blind side, and if he struggles, that not only affects your quarterback, it affects your run game altogether. I mean, they did draft the guy in the third round, but again, you're just kind of putting advantages. You're taking essentially the New York Giants approach of how to deal with their offensive line. Well, back when they had their last GM, of course, but still. This could essentially backfire if things really don't go their way. If say Dotson gets hurt for a while, that will hurt. Say Donovan Smith never really improves, that will hurt you. And say the interior of the line starts falling apart again, that'll hurt you. And overall, the offense is fine. I guess it's fine. Not really much to say. Not edge. And of course, on the defensive line, they traded for Jason Pierre-Paul. That was a big shock when that happened. They also signed Vinny Curry to go with a draft pick, Vita Vea, who they drafted in the first round, and Gerald McCoy. They got a crowded defense line. I mean, with Vinny Curry and Jason Pierre-Paul lining up, and of course they still have like Vernon Goldson, who's a good run stuffer, and Noah Spence, who hasn't really stood out in many ways that people thought he would. I mean, that's a good those are some good edge rushers you got there. But of course, the interior. Let's talk about it. You got Gerald McCoy, who's essentially Warren Sapp 2.0, and now you got Vita Vea, who can play what Anthony McFarland did. That's your front. Now you got a front four. That's your front four. Curry, Pierre-Paul, McCoy, Vea. There's your front four. And of course, they also signed Bo Allen, but yeah, they saw Vita Vea. They got their run stuffer, and now this is closer to what they've always wanted to run, that Tampa 2 defense. They need a front four that can pass rush and also play the run, and they're very close to getting it. I mean, pending some sharp decline or massive injury season, this is your front four now, and they can really strike some fear into this NFC, not just the NFC South. All right, and looking at the linebackers, it's also pretty good. You got Levante David, an elite all-star, Quan Alexander, who's very solid, and I think the inside linebacker is probably going to be Kendall Beckwith. And the linebacking core is fine. I mean, Levante David is the star, the Derek Brooks, and Quan Alexander, he's fine. But he's pretty up and down per se. I mean, he has some good games, then he has some embarrassing games. But still, he's fine. He's fine for what he does, and he's a solid starter all around. The secondary, they finally got some improving. They added 2 guys, Carlton Davis and MJ Stewart. Those are some very good improvement. That's some very good additions. Of course, they still have Vernon Hargraves, who's solid. I'll say solid, depending how he does this season. And of course, they also got Brent Grimes, also at corner, who's stepped up very well. And the safeties, they have Justin Evans, who's solid, but they're hoping for a big improvement. And of course, Keith Tandy. Yeah, anything to keep Chris Conti not on the lineup is good by any means. If Conti has to start for even a game, you guys are just shooting yourselves in the heart. Yeah, in the heart. Not in the foot, in the heart. Because Conti is a terrible safety. And the reasons why he's still on the team is... So yeah. Overall, that's a good defense. It's very close to being that old Tampa 2 style that they ran back with Gruden. It's very close to what they want it to be. Very close to how they want it. And with all the additions that they made, now it's just all about execution. If they can execute perfectly to how they want it, with corners that can play up close and tackle well in open space. Very good free range safeties who can play deep and be ball hawks, while also having a front four that can play the run and get after the pass rusher without the use of an extra edge rusher. Without the use of an extra rusher, then you have a very good top 10 defense. Now it's all about execution. I think they're very, very close to having the players, but now execution is what's needed. And if they can execute perfectly, then all they need to do is have some improving on offense. However, the schedule's tough, especially being with Jameis Winston being out for the first 3 games. Because he's going to have to play in the first 3 games. They're in New Orleans first, play the Eagles, and then the Steelers. Yep, those are going to be a tough 3 games. I would not be surprised if they start at 0-3 without Jameis Winston. I mean, Ryan Fitzpatrick is a all-right quarterback. He can be good at some games, and he can be absolute shit, but all three of those teams are playoff perennial teams. That's going to be a real bitch, honestly. And of course, with another early bye week, week 5, hopefully, they don't have too much problems. Hopefully, they can play well. But yeah, it's a tough. But those first 3 games are really tough. And of course, after the bye week, directly after the bye, we have to play the Falcons. Good luck with that. They have to also play the. They do have more tough games. I mean, hell, the last 3 out of 4. Guess who it is? Saints, Ravens, Cowboys, and Falcons. The last 4 games. Hell, the last 6 games are going to be a real challenge. Adding in the Panthers and the Niners. So this is going to be a team that's going to struggle a lot unless they can get out early. And like I said, say the defense executes perfectly. Say the players that they got and they execute well. Then you have a team that it's not dead in the water. It will pose some fight up to the very end. But otherwise, this is a 3-13. Well, okay, it's not a 3-13 team. That's hard even for me. I'm gonna say 5. I'm gonna be generous and say 5-11. It's an all right team, but like I said, the first 3 games without Winston, the final 6 games where they just play nothing but difficult opponents is going to be a living nightmare for this team. They are going to struggle week in, week out. I mean, they do have some easy games in between, like look at this: Browns, Bengals, their first matchup with the Panthers, Redskins, and the Giants. But once November 25th hits, and then you get to that playoff push, then it gets very, very difficult because those last 6 teams are all projected to make the playoffs, not just, according to me, but also based on what everyone else from the NFL says, NFL.com, ESPN. I mean, those teams have a good projection to make the playoffs, especially the Falcons, Cowboys, Saints, and Niners. And I think division-wise, they might go 1-5, 2-4, getting some lucky wins every now and then. But this is going to be a team that's going to struggle big time, and I expect maybe a 5-11 record.